Hey guys, Momola here, and in today's video, I'm going to share with you my kind of $1 million content portfolio plan and the SOPs that I use for my team, for my own small portfolio, and my client's portfolio, which is at least worth over $1 million now. Let's get into today's video. It's going to be really impactful. Hey, so you've joined me inside Trello. I use Trello for all of my work tools, for my businesses, for my agency, and for anything that's to do with building, flipping, selling, and growing websites online. I go to Trello. It's fantastic for numerous amounts of reasons, but mainly for me, I get to collaborate with my team. I give my clients lots of different timescales and milestones, and we can collaborate with ideas. And importantly, it has everything that I need all in one space. Now, when you're writing content for a blog, for your online business, for your niche sites, there are lots of different types of content that you're going to write. So it could be transactional, it could be commercial in nature, you could be reviewing one product, one affiliate item. You could be writing informational posts, and there's listicles that you can write as well. Every single piece of content needs its own content guidelines that you give to your content team, because the differences between them are vast. So for example, a listicle is going to have a lot more bullet points, quick information, smaller images, maybe for each paragraph, as opposed to a informational post that's like 2,000 to 3,000 words long, that may have lots more paragraphs, and the flow is going to be a lot different. So in today's video, I'm going to share with you my content plan and my content SOPs. Let's get into it. So as you can see here, I've got around 5 at the moment. I have a few more in another document, in another Trello file, but these are the 5 that I use the most. We have the best X for Y type posts. So these are review type posts. Think about best accessories for MacBook Pro or something along those lines. And then we have a roundup post, which is similar to the above. The only difference is it's a different SOP that I use for a different type of roundup post that I use, as opposed to my default one, which is the best X for Y posts. Then I have 2 informational type posts, SOPs. So these are all informational based, and we'll go through those in a second to see what they look like. And then lastly, I have a listicle based one. So again, listicles are informational in nature. Think about something in the travel niche, for example, when you're thinking about best hotels in London, for example, and then the listicle is going to list the 10 or 15 or 20 top hotels with images and then descriptions on each. And of course, there's others. These are the ones that I'm going to include in today's video. Let's get into the review posts, because these are the ones that's probably the most detailed and the ones that I've spent the most time on. Again, so just to be clear, these are the content guidelines that I send to my team, okay? So each one's a little bit different. For specific types of content, especially for my clients, I go into these and I definitely definitely modify them to match the client and also the commercial keyword intent. But this is the default one, just to give you an example. So first of all, I have like a super quick topic of what the keyword is, and then a word count of how many words is going to be in the review post. Depending on the review, it's going to be a lot more or a lot less. Here I have, again, a very quick content structure, so they can just see on outset exactly what it is I'm trying to achieve. So for this, it's a review guide. We're going to have 300 words in the subheader. We're going to have 50 words to 100 words in the introduction. And then we're going to have 5 to 7 products with around 300 to 400 words each. Again, it's going to vary, and then a verdict at the bottom. So this again is just for them to kind of gain some understanding when they're going through the document, so they can see at a glance what I'm trying to achieve. Now I go into the keywords aspects, and I want them to include a specific keyword at a specific point. So sometimes at the beginning, sometimes at the end, and that just references that. And now I go into specifics. So I'm not going to go through every single point because it's quite long, but essentially what I'm trying to do is in each section, so the introduction, the products, the conclusion, the pros and cons, for example, I'm going to try to give them as much help so it leaves very little room for them to interpret anything else but specifically what I'm asking for. That means that when I give it to one writer, 2 writers or 10 writers, I'm going to get a very similar type of review, which if you're looking to order in bulk and you're looking to create a lot of content in a short amount of time, you usually have to diversify across a lot of different writers. So this gives examples of how I want the introduction to be done. Then we go into the product reviews themselves. Again, I'm talking about going into Amazon itself, not using fluff or filler. We have a strict policy where I review the content itself. Sometimes I will list out the Amazon products in here because I would prefer to have the Amazon products in like a bestseller type list or bestseller type order, as opposed to them just going into Amazon and maybe picking the first 10 that they see. If I'm reviewing specific Amazon products or even outside of Amazon, sometimes I want specific ASINs to be reviewed. Again, where possible, I would like them to add internal links because it helps in terms of on-page SEO, and also outbound links. That's very, very important because every single article should have an outbound link to a reputable source. Next, I go into the buying guide itself. So we're talking about main features, how it's been used, how effective it is, any negatives, etc. And here I'm talking about how exactly I want them to write the review. So for example, please write the product reviews in order that they were listed above. In the first sentence, I want you to include the product review itself and the product review name. That helps us when we're going to interlink, and also when we're going to add contextual links, affiliate links into the post itself. And then again, just some information about making sure there's a pros and cons list and what I want to include in that. Now, lastly, I have a verdict section here, which is essentially just a way to kind of sum up what they've gone through. And sometimes, depending on the type of product review itself, I might have an FAQ section at the bottom as well. So again, the point I'm trying to make here is it needs to be descriptive and very detailed. This one's a few pages long. It could be a lot longer if you're looking to review something in depth. So think about something maybe in the educational financial space, and you actually have the item, let's say it's an educational product or a financial product, and you're reviewing it itself. So you've got the logins, you're going to be having screenshots, you're going to be having different annotations, and also you're going to be going through the actual software itself or the actual learning program itself. So it's going to be a lot more detailed. The next buying guide is very similar to the first. It's not as detailed, but sometimes I don't need as detailed a buying guide if I'm reviewing a specific type of product. So again, it's very similar in terms of layout. Depending on which content provider I'm using or which freelancer I'm using, I'm going to give them a different buying guide. So what I'm looking to do is just give the content writer as much information as possible about the affiliate review so that they can have the same structure as existing articles on the blog, and it means that whenever I'm writing any more articles, I can just use the same layout and I'm going to get a very similar type of template. Now, ideally, probably in today's day and age, with all the cool updates that's happening with Google and all the competition that's happening pretty much in every niche, it's ideal and best practice to actually buy the product that you're looking to review. So if that's a membership site or a tutorial, that's fantastic, or a software, you can just do it online. If it's an actual physical product, so for example, a garden product, then probably it's best to find a way to either, number one, buy a lawnmower, for example, and review it yourself, or find someone that can do it for you. It's probably going to take you a lot longer and it's going to be more expensive, but in the long run, you're going to get a way better review than just giving some type of content guidelines to a freelancer or a content agency. And if it's a long-term business you're looking to build, this is the best way to do it. So the next one is an informational type of content guidelines. This one usually isn't as detailed as the product review one, but again, I just want to give my writers some type of guidelines so they can have a default template. They know exactly my style and my tone of what I'm trying to write. And also, if I have a big project, I can give it to multiple writers and get a very similar type of content being created with similar headlines and similar tone. So for the informational based one, I have two. Again, I just give them a very quick kind of structure to follow so they can look at a glance to see how I want the article to be written, including information about the main keyword. Again, I have information around the introduction. For me, the introduction is really, really important, because if you have a structured introduction with a little bit of humor and has some insightfulness about it, then people are generally going to continue to read. If it's quite short and full of fluff, sometimes people are just going to bounce off the page and go somewhere else. Now again, internal links and outbound links should be included. Sometimes I take them away because I do it myself. It's a little bit easier. And then we kind of come down to the bulk of the actual article itself. So usually any informational article is going to be based around one keyword. And then we have bullet points or kind of headers or structures that flow from that main keyword. As you can see here, in terms of the bullet points, I try to give them as much help as possible. So for example, a reasons why list, an advantage of the desired search query list, or an actions list based on whatever search term you're thinking about. So for example, if it's how to cut grass in winter, then it would give lots of different winter related grass cutting tips in the bullet points underneath the main headline. Now lastly, of course, we need to include some type of outro, and for frequently asked questions is a really, really important part to add into informational posts, because those can be used as a ranking factor, and sometimes they actually pop up within the FAQs within the Google search themselves. Lastly, I always love to add YouTube videos where possible. People have different ways of learning, and having a YouTube video within the page and the article itself is a smart way to keep them engaged and stay on your page for longer. Now I have a separate informational template. It's very similar to the first. Again, it depends on what I'm trying to achieve, but I just want to give you some examples of how I structure the content and who I give it to. This one's a bit more specific in exactly how I want each paragraph to be written, and has examples here below as well. So this one's answering the question within the second paragraph, and it's doing maybe like 1 or 2 sentences, and it's bolding it. So sometimes Google can search your page and crawl it, and then they can pull out just that highlighted answer. You can get a featured snippet result at the top, and you're going to get more traffic. Now this one I've actually adapted from a content agency itself, because I thought it was pretty cool. But I think ultimately they're very similar in terms of what we're trying to achieve. So if you're interested in any of those templates, feel free to leave a comment in the box below and I'll send those over. The most important thing is that you have a content template, whether it's one page and you just have the basic outlines of what it is that you're trying to achieve, or it's 10 pages and it's specific details almost on every single paragraph, giving your writer all of the guidelines that they need. It's important that you have one, and it's important that you structure it for each and every review post or informational post, and add a few things that keeps it relevant to your search term and the searcher's intent as well. Anyhow, I hope that's been a useful video for you. Take care, and I'll see you in the next one.